welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexandra. I'm from the Netherlands, a city called Tilburg. And in today's video I would like to share with you my experience regarding my life in America, and particularly about the subjects: are Americans fake or not? What is my experience with American culture, how I perceived everything, and what I think about all these things, For those who see me probably for the first time, I'm originally come from Moscow, from Russia, and it's been 5 years since I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm married to a Dutch man. We have a son who is 2 years old. We have a cat and a dog, and we're pretty much settled around here. But who knows what future brings? As you can already say it from my experience, because I spent some time living in America, I'm pretty much an internationally minded person, so my husband is. And I would like to share with you how I lived there in the States, and like how I saw American people, generally American culture. Do I find them fake or not? Because there's so many people who actually, when I point out the Dutch rudeness, so many of my Dutch subscribers, which are very welcome to my channel, tell me like, oh, you want to be like these Americans to say I love you 1,000 times without meaning it? They're faking it, and all kinds of things like that. And I would like to share my opinion regarding it, because it's a very, very common misconception and misperception. But at the same time, I'm not insisting that my opinion is the only one right opinion. I'm just sharing my view. If you totally agree with everything, there is no need to stick with my channel or write me about it, because I'll still, delete it. If somebody not politely write me that, oh, you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, well, write it somewhere else. This is the place for people who know how to carry conversation in a very, very polite manner. And be respectful to others, and if the person is respectful or not, that's what I'm deciding, because it's my channel, I made it. If you want to spend your time somewhere else, so you're very much welcome. And those who are subscribed to me, guys, you're very welcome, because I see so many people watch me without subscription. So please click this subscribe button, leave your likes, dislikes, comments. So everything is welcome, but in a very polite, respectful manner, because I'm not owning you anything. That's my volunteer project. And please stay nice. So, are Americans fake? I've heard so many people telling this. It's like, oh, Americans, like, oh, they're fake, their smiles, their behavior and everything they do it's not really the way it is. But I would like to share with you my experience of living in the States. I had an experience of interacting with American people very closely, not only on an everyday basis, like some people go to work, or I see them, in the street, or, it's like just being around this culture in this country. But I also lived with American people together. I rented a room with an American family. They had some Latin roots, let's say, but they are Americans, so they were born and raised there. And I can tell this experience was absolutely wonderful. That was magnificent, really. They gave me so much knowledge and so much experience when it comes to learning the language and the culture, and I felt so much welcomed. I felt understood. I never experienced any mean, rude, disrespectful jokes. No one ever, like, everywhere I used to go, people were so enthusiastic about me. Anytime, I remember once I was taking blood tests at the hospital, and nurses were coming like, oh, you have an accent, where you come from? And it's never really the question Dutch people ask you, where you come from? From Russia? It's never like that. It's really never. It's with so much of the open-mindedness, with so much of, like positivity, like, oh, you come to the States, oh, what do you want to do here? It's like, oh, I'm just studying English, and then I will see what, like, maybe, and anything you say, Americans are so enthusiastic about it. They like, oh, it's so cool. When my grandma came to the States, from Poland, or from Mexico, or wherever, oh, she did this, or she studied English like that. So there's so much understandable to your situation and to your everyday struggle. You don't feel like you stood out. Nobody's looking at you in a very, like, like very suspicious kind of manner, like, oh, you come here to take our social benefits. And this is so much of a difference, you know, you feel so much welcomed, you know, you feel like you're being like almost like hugged by the society, and you immediately want to become a part of it. You want to become American-like because they are so nice. You can't really integrate people by being suspicious toward them, by pointing out that they are wrong with all their culture, with all their existence, with all their tradition, with all their religion. You can't make them members of society who feel comfortable in your country. It doesn't work that way. Dutch are very structural, logical and pragmatic, but they're completely unaware of this emotional intelligence and how you're dealing with emotions and feelings of others. Those things are crucial. It's not some kind of chaotic stuff, you know, that you know, people are experiencing. No, emotions have the internal logic, you know, and you have to feel, you have to be in tune with what you feel and what others feel, and how it's better to say certain things. And smile is never too much, you know. And yeah, I felt great. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie to you. I met some Americans, and one of them was a teacher at the English school that I used to go to study English and language school. That was very discriminative, very, how should I say, very suspicious toward immigrants. She liked to say like, oh, it's America here, it's not Europe, you know, we do it things differently. Oh, Europeans, I know you like it, like you do it like that. Oh, it's not like in Africa. Oh, it's not like in the... And she constantly tried to separate the group, you know, according to our cultures and traditions, and it was very, very nasty. But how was in the end? In the beginning of this class, we had like 30 people, but in the end, only like 10 was left. So nobody wanted to stay in her class. Nobody felt comfortable around her. And I also was taking other class, also language, but we kind of had two teachers at the time in America in this language school. And other teacher, she was a very nice Jewish old lady who had, and still has, I hope, I don't know if she's still alive because she was very, very old. She has, let's assume she's still alive, a black daughter that she adopted. I don't remember which country, in Haiti, I don't remember, some kind of African country. She was doing something, some kind of work there, doing something, some kind of business basically. And she was telling us, when we kind of complained to her that she said these things, you know, there were some people who saying, oh, maybe you got her wrong, maybe she didn't mean it, that bad teacher who liked to separate people. And she said, like, you know what, I'm a Jewish woman and I have a black daughter, and I'm telling you, she does that stuff. Trust me, I have a gut feeling, you know, I'm so sensitive toward discrimination. And you know what, you can't really understand those things before you become an immigrant yourself. Before you become different, it's just so difficult to perceive if you always live in your home country. You know, you're not sensitive to it. And as I said, for the credit to be true, yeah, it happens. It also happens in America. You also can see this kind of people. But mostly, especially in cities like New York, yeah, everybody's so nice to you. Everybody's so encouraging. Everybody's constantly giving you stories about somebody succeeding in something. You constantly feel like being driven, motivated. You know, no matter how life is hard, I've never seen people like, oh, life is so difficult. Government doesn't help. Because government doesn't help. America is for strong people, you know, who know how to fight and like put this in together and go through things. That's why I think this, even though like Russia and America are constantly two countries that, you know, kind of like trying to bite their heads off, and we have way more in common. Really, I was so much surprised. Of course, not with everything, but I think, and like a regular American person, like general American, not regular, like generally American person, an American person and a Russian person can find so much more in common, for instance, than a Russian person and a Dutch person. Really, like, we're more traditional. It's okay for us to give a woman a hand when she gets out of the car, to give her a coat, you know, even pay to her at a restaurant, to propose and have wedding, and like all those traditional things, you know. And when it comes to Dutch culture, not so. And when I hear people say, oh, Americans are so fake, you know, they're not. They might be fake like in a restaurant, like when it comes to service, or in the shop. It can happen, you know, because they're doing the job. but it's so easy to get close with Americans. They're so open, even too open for me. Even sometimes I can't really process. You know, you sit with a person, you having some small chat, carry some conversation, and this person tells you like everything. Oh, my father was an alcoholic. I don't know, my mother had blood infection, and you're like, whoo, whoo, whoo. You know, wait, that's just too much for me to handle. You know, now I know everything about about your parents, so how I'm going to look in their eyes once I see them. So, you know, they can be too open, but at the same time you feel like there's nothing too personal, there's nothing like too much to share. You know, they're so open to say everything, and at the same time respect each other's opinions. Of course, so many people will tell me now like, oh, you're living in a pink cloud, look what happens in the States now. Well, I know it's a pretty difficult time of the history, but still, you know, it pretty much balanced out. On the personal level, it's so easy to, I don't know, to become friends with people, to, I don't know, to find common ground, to share your problems and to hear about their problems and their feelings. And when you speak to them, generally as Americans, you can see emotions on their face. They can like, oh, it's not nice, man. Oh, it sucks. Oh, I'm totally there with you. You know, and you feel like you're not alone. Well, Dutch people, they constantly have this neutral face that shows pretty much nothing. Well, if you're a person who generally yourself is built in the same way inside, you know, is organized in the same way, you don't like to share much emotions, you prefer logic, you keep your emotions somewhere there and just bottle them up, which is very unhealthy, by the way, or just share them only limitedly with a few people, maybe you're gonna feel comfortable here in the Netherlands around Dutch people. But if you're like me, a person who likes to express feelings, express emotions, and connect and feel emotions of others, you're gonna starve. The Netherlands is gonna be felt as a desert, really. And I've spoken to so many people who actually immigrated to the Netherlands, for instance, like from Portugal, from other countries. They say it's extremely exhausting. So you share something emotional with that person, like enthusiastic, and you get like, yeah, het is niet fijn. Ja, maar komt goed. Huh? I mean, I'm more used to men sometimes being like that, because men, I mean, maybe it's a generalization, but anyway, you know, it's more common for men to speak with each other like that, you know, more like logical and like this kind of stuff. But women, we are made of full of emotions. But trust me, I've met more emotional Dutch men in my life than emotional Dutch women. Those I wanted to say a word starts with B, beep, beep. They are super cold. You feel like ice, you know, around you, and it's extremely uncomfortable. On the other hand, American women are just, I don't know, they are feminine, but at the same time they can be very strong, and but at the same time they want to feel themselves as women. They have no problems of showing their femininity, even like I don't know whether they look like completely, you know, not sexual, you know, when they like wear all this, everything should be closed and kind of like men more like, or they just look slutty. But there is two kind of like different, you know, sides and nothing in between, you know. And it's also for me pretty much difficult because you don't see this charming, flirting things. You know, sometimes it can be like cheesy, they can be too much, but it can be fun. I remember myself in early 20s, like walking around with an American friend of mine, you know, somewhere like in Manhattan, and very hot day, and some kind of man tells you like, oh girls, like, oh, it's such a hot day, oh it's you girls, and I was like, oh it's us, you know, and just a small laugh or some compliments here and there, you know. I know these days women are so much afraid of those things, to think like, oh, somebody's harassing them. But of course, everything has time, its place, you know. If you're in a business situation or some serious woman, you know, going to do something, you know, and you know, you can see in the face that somebody's not really ready to accept your joke, that's one thing. But if it's some kind of summer day and just, you know, all this flirting things, I mean, I'm not really needing this anymore because I'm married and I get so much compliments from my husband, so I'm full, you know. I don't need anything more. But at the same time, I don't really know how the young people are doing around here, because all this rush, all this race for equality wiped out all this magic that can occur in everyday life when people are exchanging emotions. And yeah, sorry, I drift away from the main line. And yeah, Americans, it's just, you just feel, you feel alive there. You feel like a, I don't know, dead computer or something. Things work, everything's perfect, but nobody shares how they feel about anything. I mean, of course, I'm generalizing here, okay? Don't get me literally. There are some Dutch families who are actually very emotional and, you know, as long as Dutch people can be. Yeah, but still, you know, some people are just really like dead inside, you know, and you feel like it's the only thing, logical, money, numbers, and it's extremely hurting and uncomfortable to be around them. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do. You can't really change them. You can't really share your emotions and get this back. And it's really hard. So Americans are not fake, you know. And when you get closer with them, it's so easy to share. I've got so many like help and so many understanding from American people. So yeah, they're nice generally. You know, it doesn't mean like everybody's nice and kind and everything, but they are nice. And I find it extremely prejudiced to think about American people as fake, you know. They really smile, because even sometimes when you're sad, when you still put a smile on, you know, a couple of hours later you realize, actually you feel a bit better now, you know, than making the sad faces like what Russians also like to do. And then it's not really, I don't know, it's not really a good thing, you know. And I totally understand American people. I totally understand their culture and where they come from and why they try to stay positive. But of course, Americans are so different. You know, I had an experience living on the East Coast, you know, in New York. I traveled to Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston. You know, I've never been to places like Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere. So I can be a bit subjective on that matter. And here in the Netherlands, I'm living in a province. So but still, you know, the Americans are more nice than Dutch people, and you feel more welcomed. And I think also Canadians, even more nicer than Americans, even nicer, not more nicer. This is a common mistake my Dutch husband makes. So today's video I dedicated to this topic of Americans being fake or not. I really appreciate everyone who watched me up till that point. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more of my opinion, more of my experience, more of my stories, because it's quite an unusual thing, you know, a person who comes from Russian culture, from Moscow, living in the States for a while and then living in the Netherlands, and comparing all these little interesting details. You know, I see a lot of Dutch people keep subscribing to my channel. I'm pretty much surprised, to be honest, because I was expecting potential immigrants to subscribe to my channel, those who want to move to the Netherlands for some reason. But apparently Dutch people are very much interested in what actually I have to say about them and their culture. Guys, I'm not really intending to offend any of you, okay? When I'm criticizing certain things, it's not like I'm thinking Americans are perfect or Russian are perfect. As a matter of fact, no one is perfect. But just for my personality, for my values, for things I find important in life, to prosper and succeed and be fulfilled, I find those things more in North American culture, you know, rather than here. But at the same time, I give it full credit to you for your social system, for your order of things, for an amazing culture, beautiful buildings, you know, very healthy lifestyle, and so many more things. And about those things I'm speaking more extensively in my other videos, and I try to leave a few links down below, but you can watch through the list because I've made a few videos on my channel. And yeah, I'm not really trying to be, you know, bad toward you. I'm not really thinking, you know, like that, but I'm just sharing my feelings, and that's all I want to do. Because I think for those who are planning to come to the Netherlands, it's very, very important to understand what kind of country they're going to, and not be surprised when a Dutch person will make some kind of nasty joke about their country, you know, or give them a strange look and make them feel unwelcome. That's because that's what Dutch people are. They're not very open-minded and smiley and enthusiastic. It's not them, you know. And we sometimes perceive Western countries as like one nation, especially me coming from Russia and growing up there. We also heard like, oh, the Western countries, the Western world, Europe and America. And I grew up with an idea that is something similar, or perhaps even identical, I don't know, substance or group of countries. But I was very much wrong, you know. I was fallen as a victim of propaganda, you know, listening all these things. Dutch people and American people, for instance, those people I know very closely, are so different, super different. And you have to be aware of those differences. It's not like, oh, I'm going to the West, you know, people, for instance, like from Asia, from Africa, or from, I don't know, from Eastern European countries can think in their head. No, you're going to a specific country. And besides the law and human rights in place, there's so many peculiarities that you're gonna be coming across to very often on a daily basis. And you have to learn more about them. And that's why I made this channel, to share with you my experience and to give you my perception of things. So, in my opinion, Americans are not fake. They're super open-minded. They're lovely people. And my time in the States was wonderful. And Dutch people, they're very successful. They're so good at so many things, perfect to teach the whole world. But being an immigrant in this country is not a piece of pie, really. So that's how I want to finish my video. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video with your friends on social media. I'm going to be very thankful for this. And see you in my next video, my channel. Bye!